Hey everyone, Garrett here from Naked and Famous Denim. I got a very special fade review for you today. We're gonna get into these right away, but before we do, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. So you probably read the title. This is the legendary 32 ounce from Naked and Famous Denim. And you probably know, of course, the indigo version, but we also did a black version. We did actually a lot less of these back in the day, so it's an even more rare 32 ounce, but we're very lucky to have an ultra faded pair. This one was sent in by our hardcore fader and fan, Koa, so big shout out to him. He did an amazing job on these. So without further ado, we're gonna get into it. I have a little bit of background knowledge. He sent me a little bit of a story. But anyways, he's telling me that he wore them very hard almost every day for the first year, and he didn't give them a wash until the second year. He initially purchased them with his regular size, tag size 30, and he was basically trying to pull a Rudy Swiss jeans freak, which is to never wash, never soak, wear them completely unsanforized and raw in the loom state forever. However, turns out back in the day, before I ever even worked here, he was DMing me on Instagram because I also was wearing the 32 ounce at the time. And I had actually thought beforehand and sized up my pair, and I did soak my pair before doing my no wash pair. However, he did not. So anyways, after about 2 years of wearing, he did have to wash them, and I guess they shrunk down a little bit, so he didn't end up wearing them as much after that. But he says he's been doing everything in them, from skateboarding in BC to heavy industrial sewing machines and harsh winters, negative 40 degrees Celsius, and hot summers in Ontario. So he's been wearing these extra hard, and let's get into the details on these guys. So here's the front here, and the back. Already you can see that these are heavily faded. So starting from the top here, we can see actually this is one of the older batches because it's sewn all the way around on the label there instead of just the sides there. So I'm guessing this is probably the first batch, possibly the second, of the 32 ounce. Opening up the fly here, and yes, it does have a zip fly because it was too heavy, too thick to have buttons. You can see kind of a nice little patina on that YKK. On the waistband, a little bit of fading here where we can see that the waistband attaches to the rest of the pants. Not a lot of brassing on the buttons, a little bit on the edge of the donut button up here. A little bit of fading on this, but overall just a nice kind of like gray tone that's coming out. Moving down the lap, we have some nice whiskers going on. Very defined creases you'll see here. Because it is the 32 ounce, it is very heavy. It's got these really thick, big whiskers. On a lighter weight, you're gonna have lots of little tiny whiskers. This you're only getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not a whole lot, but very contrasty, very defined. Moving down to the lap here, looks like maybe there's something in the pocket here, possibly a cell phone, and just more general fading on the lap, which happens, your hands are rubbing, you're rubbing up against stuff, putting things on your lap, you get a lot of kind of general fading there. Sliding down to the bottom, a lot of action on the knees here, which I do remember personally on my 32 ounce as well. The knee part did get quite faded, and we can see here those knee whiskers popping here. They're actually so thick that they kind of like pop out and stand. Again, actually I remember a similar fade just like that on mine as well. Sliding down even further, you can see here that these are stacked up a bit. So he probably didn't hem these because it's not easy to get that 32 ounce hemmed anywhere. And yeah, these were stacked up a bit, which is very beautiful. I do love this kind of like X shape that you get on the stacking here, and a little bit of cracking probably where he cuffed it as well. And again, they just have that, not only do they have the 3D look, but they still kind of retain that 3D shape. And then down at the bottom, you'll actually notice the 32 ounce don't have a chain stitch, so you're not really getting as much roping. You still can get roping with the plain stitch, but you'll just notice there that it actually is a plain stitch and not the chain stitch. Flipping over to the back here, we have, starting with the leather patch here, so it had a black coating over the top. It has faded away, and you can just see a little glimpse, a little ghost of the tragic blonde there in the background. But I do love this kind of like T-core leather where it starts out black and fades to that brownish caramel, dark caramel color there. And it has not cracked or anything. It's in pretty good condition. I find the 32 ounce patches hold up really well in general. On the back here, the waistband pretty well protected. It has that signature angled belt loop on the back because it was so thick here we can't sew it vertically like a normal jean. So it sits at an angle there and canted. Going down to the back here, we can see on the seat we got quite a bit of fading, but in very good condition here. You can see that he actually decided to go in and add some rivets to the pockets. So that's not something that came standard on these. So yeah, that's definitely something different. If I remember correctly, there was hidden rivets that came with it, but maybe for some reason he added those in instead. And then coming down on the back of the jean here, we can see more fading in the crotch area. A little bit of repairs, a little bit of darning, machine darning going on there. Can you get that in focus? And then on the other side as well, I do remember on my 32 ounce no wash, I actually had a lot of problems with blowouts. So his crotch has fared quite well, and compared to mine, mine is basically just a giant gaping hole now because I tried to repair it so many times and the repairs basically failed over time, and so I just cut it all out. Now there's a big hole, and they'll probably just stay that way forever for extra ventilation. But coming down to the back here, now this is where the 32 ounce gets insane, and it's on the honeycombs. The thickness of that fabric just produces these monster honeycombs, super high contrast. The 3D pop on these is crazy. Of course, we got that cracking in there because it is such a thick fabric. And yeah, it's hard to beat. You almost can't beat the 32 ounce when it comes to that. It's just the heaviest jeans, you know, of that era. And yeah, these were just super cool, hardcore, high contrast honeycombs. Moving down, not a lot of calf fades, a little bit of light fading, but no super defined calf. And then coming down to the bottom here again, we got a little bit of stacking fades and some cracking probably where it was cuffed, and a little bit of heel bite, possibly. I don't know if they were rubbing on the ground or just the back of his shoes or boots, but yeah, nice fading on the leg opening as well. I didn't really see any particular train tracks, not a whole lot of that going on, but overall, these are extremely faded, very well done. So great job from Koa. I want to thank him so much for sending these in. Of course, we're going to be having the 40 ounce coming up soon, so that's going to be kind of the next milestone in the Naked and Famous denim heavyweight journey. But anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.